Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. This is Miss Brianne, and welcome to another exciting summer program that we here have at the Westhampton Free Library. I hope you're having a great summer so far. I can't believe it's halfway over already. Are you surprised, boys and girls? Yeah, we only got like 3 weeks left of summer. And we are currently in the middle of our summer reading program. And just so you know, if you haven't registered yet, the last day to register is this Friday, August 13th. So if you haven't registered yet, please do so before Friday. Alright, but as many of you are all aware, our theme for our summer reading program this year is Tales with Tales. And Tales is T-A-L-E-S, with Tales, T-A-I-L-S. And basically we're doing like it's a focus on fairy tales and folk tales. And usually animals with tails. But did you know animals and insects aren't the only things that have tails? Do you know what else may have a tail at times? Well, sometimes a meteor has a tail. Isn't that crazy? Here's what you're probably thinking. How can a thing that's not even living have a tail? Sometimes a meteor falls so fast that leaves a trail behind it and it looks like it has a tail. So that's why sometimes they say that meteors have tails. Now I know another question you're probably thinking. Why are we talking about meteors? Well, every year around this time, there's a special meteor shower, and it's called the Perseids Meteror Shower. Now, it's been around since July, and it'll probably stop at near the end of August, but the peak of this meteor shower is very early Thursday morning at 4 o'clock. How crazy is that? Okay. So, and it looks like it's going to be a big thing this year. So we're going to have a little bit of a party to celebrate the Perseids Meteror Shower. I'm sorry we can't do this at the library, but you can view these meteors from the comfort of your own home, and we're going to have some fun crafts for everybody to complete. It's going to be a lot of fun. And like I say, you could do all this in the comfort of your own home this year. Does that sound great? Well, I'm going to be getting to the activities in a little while, but before we do that, we are going to be learning about meteors. And I have this amazing book by the National Geographic Kids. It's called Meteors. And you'll probably pick up some new fun facts that you haven't even learned yet. How exciting is that? But anyway, the author of National Geographic Meteors is Melissa Stewart. And the author is the person who writes the words in the book. And in this case also does the research. And the book has been reviewed by Bill Cook and Danielle Malster of NASA's Marshall Space Flight Center. So they reviewed this book just to make sure everything is correct and true. And the publisher, which is that company that puts the book together into print and sends it to the bookstores, is the National Geographic Society. And with a nonfiction book, we have something called a table of contents. They broke this book up into different sections about meteors. So if you didn't want to read the whole book and you just want to read certain parts, just look at the table of contents. It also comes with a glossary of words. So if you find a word that may be a little hard to understand, you may be able to look it up in the glossary to see what it means. And also a nonfiction book comes with an index. So if you want to find out something specifically about meteoroids, all you have to do is look at this index and you can turn to the exact page number to find it. Alright, so is everybody ready? Now we're not going to read everything. We're not going to read the small boxes and everything. Maybe some of them, not all of them. But are we ready? Alright, here we go. Streaks of light. Every day, thousands of small space rocks enter Earth's atmosphere. Together, these meteoroids weigh more than 9 buses. Whoa, that's heavy. Have you seen a school bus, boys and girls? One bus is heavy enough. Try it, 9 of them all together. But don't worry, most space rocks never hit the ground. They burn up as they fall through the atmosphere. And that creates the fiery streaks of light scientists call meteors. Cool, huh? Alright, meteor meetings. Atmosphere, the layer of gases that surround the planet. Meteoroid, a small rocky object in space or the atmosphere. And a meteor, the streak of light produced as a meteoroid burns up in the atmosphere. So you may be able to see these cool streaks of light very early tomorrow morning. Isn't that fun? Alright, here we go. Some people call meteors shooting stars or falling stars. But a meteor is very different from a star. Most stars are so far away that we can never visit them. They burn bright for billions of years. Most of the meteors we see are about 60 miles away, and their glow lasts just a few seconds. Why do meteors light up the night sky? Think about it like this. On cold days, you can warm your hands by rubbing them together. You create heat because a force called friction is at work. Friction can be created in Earth's atmosphere, too. Some meteors cruise toward our planet at more than 115,000 miles an hour. As a space rock rubs against gases in the atmosphere, it creates heat. All that heat makes it glow. Alright, give me 1 minute. Alright, down to the Earth. Not all meteoroids burn up completely as they plummet toward Earth. The instant a space rock lands, scientists call it a meteorite. Most meteorites are no bigger than a grain of sand, but some are as big as a boulder. So a meteorite is a space rock that lands on Earth, another planet, or a moon. So, what's in the name? So over here, a small rocky object traveling through space is called a meteoroid. Over here, when it enters Earth's atmosphere, it produces a streak of light called a meteor. And then here, if it strikes our planet's surface, we call it a meteorite. So if it's traveling in space, it's a meteoroid. If it's falling through Earth's atmosphere and sparking, it's called a meteor. If it manages to land on Earth, we call it a meteorite. Alright, here we go. Scientists divide meteorites into 3 main groups. Here, stony meteorites. These are the most common meteorites on Earth, but they're hard to spot. They look very similar to Earth rocks. Iron meteorites. These meteorites are shiny, so it's easy to tell that they're from out of this world. They're made mostly of two metals, iron and nickel. And then we have the stony iron meteorites. These meteorites are also easy to spot, but they aren't very common. They're chunky mixtures of metal and rock. Cool, huh? Alright, next chapter. Meteorite Hall of Fame. Check out these record-setting meteorites. Hoba, where it landed? Namibia. Hoba is the largest snow meteorite in the world. It's about 9 feet long, 9 feet wide, and 3 feet tall. A farmer found the meteorite while he was plowing the field. So this is Hoba right over here. Look at the size of that, boys and girls. Nogata. Where it landed? Nogata in Japan. What's this space rock's claim to fame? It's the remains of the oldest meteorite strike that can be dated exactly. It fell on May 19th, 861. Wow, that's near a long time ago, isn't that right, boys and girls? That's more than 1,150 years ago. Next we have Gibeon, where it landed. Namibia. Gibeon created more rubble than any other meteorite when it hit the ground. Pieces of the space rock are spread over an area almost as large as the state of Maryland, USA. So there's pieces of the Gibeon rock meteorite on display. Then we have Cape York, where it landed, Greenland. When this meteorite struck Earth, it broke into several giant pieces. You can see the largest chunk, which weighs more than 4 elephants, at the American Museum of Natural History in New York City, USA. It's the biggest meteorite on display in a museum. How about that, boys and girls? You can see a meteorite for yourself if you visit the Museum of Natural History. Alright, give me 1 minute. Alright, next section, out of this world. Where do meteoroids come from? To find out, you'll need to climb into a spacesuit and get ready for a long, long journey. We're headed into space. Earth is part of a solar system. The sun is at the center of our solar system and other objects orbit it. So here's some meteor meanings. Solar system. A star and everything that orbits it. Orbit. To move in the path around another object such as a star. And then there's an asteroid. A space rock that's larger than a meteoroid but smaller than a planet. So look at that. This is our whole solar system. I'll give you a minute. Can you find the planets in here? Alright, here we go. The sun. Some planets. A bunch of asteroids. Does our solar system end there? Not by a long shot. The planets are surrounded by a huge area of space called the Kuiper Belt. And that's not all. A region known as the scattered disk overlaps part of the Kuiper belt, and it stretches far, far out into space. At the very edge of our solar system is an even bigger area called the Oort cloud. So we got the sun, this is our sun, and we got our sun in the solar system, and here is the Kuiper belt. It surrounds the planets. And then we have our Oort cloud right over here. How cool is that? All right. Next up, how does an object become a meteoroid? The asteroid belt, Kuiper belt, scattered disk, and Oort cloud all contain huge numbers of orbiting objects. At least 2 million rocky asteroids orbit in the asteroid belt. Many others share an orbit with Jupiter or Mars. The Kuiper belt contains at least 1 trillion small icy objects, and the Oort cloud may contain as many as 2 million. Isn't that insane? Sometimes those orbiting objects break apart, and some of the pieces become meteoroids that eventually enter Earth's atmosphere. So with so many objects flying in space, it's not going to be common that a lot of them are going to break into smaller pieces and fall to the Earth, right? But usually they're so small they burn up before they even hit the ground. So don't worry, boys and girls. From asteroid to meteoroid. An asteroid moves through space. They crash into each other like bumper cars. Small bits break off and become meteoroids. Now here's an inside of an asteroid. Almost all the meteoroids people find on Earth come from asteroids. So some stony meteorites come from the surface of asteroids, which is the very top right over here. Iron meteorites come from the core of asteroids. So those iron ones are in the very center inside the asteroid. Then stony iron meteorites come from an area between an asteroid's rocky surface and its metal core. Cool, huh? Now, most of the time, these new meteorites stay in the same orbit as the asteroids they came from. But when a meteoroid does get knocked out of its orbit, it may be attached by the gravity of a nearby planet such as Earth. Take a look at that. Now from comet to meteoroid. Meteoroids can come from comets too. Meteoroids also come from the small objects in the Kuiper belt, scattered disk, and Oort cloud. These objects have rocky cores and icy surfaces. When they get knocked out of these regions and travel toward the sun, they give off gas and dust. Scientists call them comets. So here's a meteor meeting, a comet. A chunk of ice, frozen gases, rock, and dust that orbits the sun. So let's take a look at a comet up close, boys and girls. As the sun's gravity pulls a comet toward the center of our solar system, the icy ball heats up and begins to change. So we got the center of a comet here, which is called the nucleus. Gases and dust escape from the comet's hard, solid nucleus. Then we have the edge around here called the coma. Some gases and dust from a cloud-like coma around the nucleus. They glow bright as they reflect sunlight. Then this little part here that's very dense is the dust tail. Some of the dust tails out behind the nucleus, it forms a long, thick tail. And then we have the thinner one called the gas tail. Some of the gases form a thinner tail. Neat, huh? Now you know what a comet is made of. A comet's nucleus keeps on orbiting the sun, but material from its long dust tail gets left behind. This material becomes tiny meteorites. Most of the meteorites that enter Earth's atmosphere come from comets. How cool is that? As Earth orbits the sun, it follows the same path year after year. And about a dozen times during that journey, it passes through streams of leftover dust from various comets. For a few nights, hundreds of dusty bits enter Earth's atmosphere and burn up. The result is a beautiful display we call a meteor shower. So here's a meteor meeting. Meteor shower. Many meteors coming from the same area of the sky within a short period of time. So you can see a picture of a meteor shower right here. And you may be lucky enough to see one, boys and girls, tonight, early in the morning. How cool is that? All right, 8 cool things about space rocks. Number 1, about 12,000 dust-sized meteorites enter Earth's atmosphere each night. How cool is that? And you don't even see them because they're so tiny. 2, many meteors look orangey red or white to viewers on Earth, but some look green or yellow. So if you're able to view the meteor shower, boys and girls, keep an eye out for different colors. 3, a meteor that appears brighter than Venus is called a fireball. Don't know if you'll see one of those, but be nice to look out for, huh? Number 4, meteorites are usually named after the place where they are found. Number 5, most meteors can be seen in the hours before sunrise than in the hours after sunset. So usually, like I said, usually the best time to see a meteor shower is very, very early in the morning, but before the sun rises, while it still has to be dark out. Number 6, the meteoroid dust that trail left by a comet can be more than 100 million miles long. That's big. Number 7, the rock and metal in most meteorites are about 4.6 billion years old. And number 8, bulletproof material helps protect the International Space Station from meteorites. Neat, huh? Here we go. Strike 2. Most of the meteorites that land on Earth come directly from asteroids. But asteroids are also the force behind meteorites that come from the Moon and Mars. Meteorites from the Moon. When 2 asteroids crash, one of them may get knocked out of its orbit. And if its new path crosses the Moon's orbit, boom! Holes called craters mark the spots where asteroids have hit the Moon. So you see all these holes in the Moon? They're called craters, and usually they're created when asteroids hit the Moon, because the Moon is very soft. During these strikes, bits of the Moon fly into space and become meteoroids. Sometimes those rocky bits enter Earth's atmosphere and land on our planet. So you may find a moon rock one of these days, boys and girls. Wouldn't it be nice to have a piece of the Moon? Maybe. Meteorites from Mars. Like the Moon, Mars has been struck by many asteroids, and some of those strikes produce meteoroids. Some of the meteoroids are still orbiting close to Mars, but others were knocked out of orbit. Over time, gravity and other forces moved some Martian meteoroids into Earth's atmosphere. Many of the meteoroids burned up, but a few were large enough to land on Earth as meteorites. So far, scientists have identified 124 meteorites from Mars. So these are a little bit harder to find because usually they always remain in orbit of Mars, and even if they do enter Earth, they burn up. Struck from above. Most of Earth is covered with water, so many meteorites fall into the ocean. Good thing, huh? Some land in forests, or deserts, or other places where people don't live. But, once in a while, a meteorite causes damage that people notice. It can happen. So we have the Wethersfield meteorite. In 1928, Wanda and Robert Donahue of Wethersfield, Connecticut, USA, heard a strange thud in their living room and rushed to investigate. They couldn't explain the hole in the ceiling until they spotted a grapefruit-sized meteorite that had rolled upon a piece of furniture. So a meteorite crashed into somebody's house in 1928. Freaky, huh? Then we have the Peekskill meteorite. In 1992, Michelle Knapp was startled by a crash outside her home in Peekskill, New York, USA. When she ran outdoors, she discovered that a football-sized meteorite had struck her family's car. Wow, look at the damage of that, boys and girls. That's not good. Then we have the Lorton meteorite. In 2010, a meteorite surprised Dr. Frank Ciampi when it crashed into his office in Lorton, Virginia, USA. The fist-sized space rock is now on display at the Smithsonian National Museum of Natural History in Washington, D.C., USA. They can be cool, but they can be a little dangerous at times, boys and girls. Remember that. Buildings and cars are fairly large, so it's no surprise that we sometimes hear about meteorites hitting them. But has a space rock ever hit a person? Could a meteorite hit you? Yes. In fact, maybe one already has. Most meteorites are no bigger than a speck of dust. That means you wouldn't even notice if one plopped down on your head. What about bigger meteorites? Don't worry, only about 10 people in the whole world have ever been struck by a meteorite large enough that they noticed. And none of them were seriously hurt. So we have the Siligaca meteorite. In 1954, a grapefruit-sized meteorite smashed through a roof in Siligaca, Alabama, USA. It bounced off a radio and hit Ann Hodges in the hip while she was taking a nap. She is the only person in the United States who has ever reported being hit by a meteorite. So it's very rare, boys and girls, to be hit by one. Most of them are too small to even do anything. So, on the lookout. Many scientists spend their whole career studying space rocks. Dr. Bill Cook, head of NASA's Meteoroid Environment Office in Huntsville, Alabama, USA, tracks meteors as they zip across the night sky. Cook uses a network of 12 cameras in Ohio, Pennsylvania, Alabama, Tennessee, Georgia, North Carolina, and New Mexico to shoot video of meteors on clear nights. Then he determines each meteor's speed, where it came from, and whether it might have produced a meteorite. What a cool job! Isn't that right, boys and girls? Meteorite hunt. Other scientists collect meteorites that have landed on the ground. Space rocks can fall anywhere on Earth, but they're easier to find in two places: hot deserts and frigid Antarctica. Scientists can spot them on the plain tan sand or white ice. every year, the National Science Foundation sends teams of scientists to search for meteorites in Antarctica. In the past 30 years, these teams have found more than 16,000 meteorites. How cool is that? And look at all the different types of meteorites they found, boys and girls. Cool, huh? Alright, scientists aren't the only ones who spend time hunting for meteorites. So do lots of other people, including some curious kids. Would you like to find a meteorite near your home? So here's what you do if you want to find meteorites. Look for a rock that 1, sticks easily to a magnet. 2, seems heavier than other rocks its size. And 3, has a rough surface, indents that look like thumbprints, and or lots of points and ridges. If all 3 of these are true, you may have a meteorite. Many people look for years and never find a space rock, but you might get lucky. You could be the first person in your town to find a meteorite. If you think you've got one, ask the geology department at your local university. So, what a find. When Jansen Lyons of Rio Rancho, New Mexico, USA was 10 years old, he read a book about meteorites and wanted to find one. After 2 years of hunting, he came across a rock with all of the features of a stony meteorite. Was it really a space rock? You bet. Jansen's find was later confirmed by Dr. Carl Agee, a meteorite specialist who works at the University of New Mexico's Institute of Meteorologics. So how cool is that? A kid your age finding a meteorite of his own. Isn't that neat? And that is the end of our book. Though if you want, you can take if you get this book in our library, you can take the quiz, or you can look up the glossary and the index if you want to go back and review what you've learned. But isn't that a great way? Do you know more about meteors than you do now, boys and girls? So, take a minute or two to think of one or two new facts that you've learned about meteors today and meteorites. Alright, boys and girls, so now if you think of it, as you know, around 4 in the morning is going to be the peak of the Perseids Meteror Shower. Now parents, and so parents who are wanting to do this as a family activity and children, well, this is mostly for parents. When you register for this program, you receive the kit not only with the activities for the crafts that your children will do, but you also receive tips for viewing the Perseids Meteror Shower. And I will review them right here. Now these tips were from the article by Shelley, How to Watch a Meteor Shower with Your Kids, from the website Steam Powered Family. So if you're interested in this, as well as other similar articles in this website, please click on the video link on the web link in this video description. But with that being said, here's some tips for viewing the Perseids Meteor Shower tomorrow morning. 1. Go onto the NASA website so you can learn more about the Perseids Meteor Shower. So not only do they have information about it, but they also provide special reports on the Perseids Meteor Shower as the peak approaches. To view this, please type in the web link in your tip sheet. 2. Choose a date and time that you would like to view the shower. Once you have that, if you live in the city, move as far away from the city as possible. try and go into a little bit more rural areas any way to avoid light pollution. In fact, make this your regular camping trip for the year if you prefer families or parents. 3, make sure you try to do your best to arrive where you want to go 30 minutes before the time you want to view the meteor shower. And make sure you turn off all light sources so your eyes can adjust to the dark. 4, if there's a full moon out tonight, it's not really going to be your lucky day. The full moon will actually decrease your chance of viewing meteor showers because of the light. It's not going to increase it. So keep this in mind if you pick a day and time to view a meteor shower. Fortunately, there's no full moon tonight, so parents and kids, say yay! 3, make sure you're as comfortable as possible. It's going to be cooler during the time you're going to view the meteor shower. So make sure you have blankets on hand and make sure you dress in layers. The goal is make sure you and your family stay warm. Number 6, make sure you have blankets and chairs. Anything to be as comfortable as possible when viewing the meteor shower. It's going to be a while. And if you especially have young children and their sleep is getting disrupted, you want to make sure they're nice and they're comfortable. So blankets and chairs are a must. 7, instead of going crazy and viewing the whole sky all at once, divide the sky up into different parts and have each family member view a different piece of the sky. That way, the whole sky can be covered. And if somebody sees a meteor, they can just point and shout. Now, number 8, if you're very interested in stars and constellations, prior to the meteor shower viewing, you can download a stargazing app on your tablet or phone. And you can use it to point out the different stars and constellations in the night sky. However, be very careful when using these. They can mess up your night vision. And make sure, when it goes close to the time the shower begins, close the stargazing app and put the phone and tablet away. 9, as I mentioned before, when viewing meteors, keep an eye out for changing colors and tail trains. And most importantly, number 10, have fun. So, with those tips in mind, I certainly hope you have fun viewing the meteor shower early tomorrow morning. But before that even happens, I have some fun crafts to show you. Now, you don't have to complete all of them. In fact, depending on the ages of your children, parents, I include the materials in the craft kits you receive after registering for the children of for the activities of your child's particular age group or groups. So if you want to skip ahead and view the activity for your child's age group, please look at the different times in the video description that you can view these activities. And I will even post them right now on the video. Alright, so once you're ready, please join me for the activity section of this program. Alright, so our very first craft for the evening is our aluminum foil meteor shower printings. And this craft is for our youngest family members and visitors of the library. It's from our little 18-month-old walkers all the way to 5 years old, but are not yet going into kindergarten. So if you have any children in that age category, this would be the activity for them to complete for tonight. Now before I go on, I'm just going to let you know that this program, this craft is a craft idea from the website A Dash of Learning. So if you're interested in this activity as well as other similar activities, please click on the web link in the video description. But in any event, let's begin. I'm going to go over step by step with you on how to create this. And when you're finished, you should have something that looks a little bit like this. Mine's probably a little bit cluttered, I apologize for that. But it still looks pretty good, right boys and girls? What do you think? Would you like a painting like this or a print? Well, to do this you just need a few simple things. First you need some aluminum foil, some blue tempera paint and some white tempera paint, and a black piece of construction paper, black construction paper. Now, I know I use blue and white, and white's the main color, but you could probably try with other colors like green or pink or yellow, maybe even purple if you like, but for today we're going to do blue and white. So with that being said, are we ready to begin? Alright, to start off with, you're going to take your aluminum foil, and you can have your child do this, and you're going to crumple it. Try and get into like a little bit of a weird, oddly shaped, meteor-shaped ball, kind of like this. When that's done, you're going to take your little meteor tin foil, and let's dip it into the white paint. Then, we are going to take it and press it down onto our construction paper. How about that? Then when you're done with it, do it about once or twice, and then you're going to rinse it off. Once you've rinsed it off, you're going to go back to your paint. This time take your tin foil piece and dip it into the blue paint. Like so, like this. Then we're going to hit it twice, about once or twice onto the construction paper. So there is our next round. And again, you're going to rinse it off. Then, what I like to do is when you're done with that, you're going to take your tin foil and maybe even mix it a little into the white and blue paint, like so. Then you'll hit about 2 more times onto the paper. And you can do this as many times as you want with different color combinations, different ways to stamp it, different meteor shapes. The possibilities are endless with this. But anyway, that's how you do an aluminum foil meteor shower printing. So, if you did this activity, I hope you had fun. I certainly had fun doing this with you. But in any event, let's move on to our next activity, the do-it-yourself moon rocks. Okay now, so our next craft activity for Perseids Meteror Shower Party is making your own meteors or moon rocks. How fun is that, boys and girls? Now, just to let you know, this craft is geared for young children who are 5 years old and are going into kindergarten up to 3rd grade. How fun is that, boys and girls? So this craft is for our kids going into kindergarten all the way up to 3rd grade. And before I start this, I'm just going to let you know these DIY meteors are from the website The Crafting Chicks. I just modified it a little bit. If you're interested in this activity as well as other similar activities, please click on the web link in the video description. But in any event, I am going to go over step by step on how to make these little meteors. And when you're done, you're going to have something that looks a little bit like this. Or like this. Or even like this. How cool is that, boys and girls, huh? Aren't these amazing? And they actually look like real meteorites. Isn't that cool? Alright, do you want to know how to make these? Alright. So, in order to make these, you're going to need the following items. Now, when you register for this program and you said what grade you're going into, you should have received materials in your craft kit with the following materials: baking soda, gold glitter, and silver glitter. But you should also have these following materials with you as well. You should have a bowl, a spoon, a solid measuring cup that is 1 cup, a measuring spoon that's 1 tablespoon, black food coloring if you like, you don't need this, and water. Alright, with that being said, are we ready to begin? Alright, so we're going to need our bowl, and we're going to need our measuring cup, and we're going to take our baking soda, and we're going to measure out 1 cup of baking soda. So we got 1 cup of baking soda. Let me put a little bit more in there. There we go. So we have 1 cup of baking soda, and we're going to put it in our bowl. Next, we are going to take 1 tablespoon of water. So we are 1 tablespoon of water, and we're going to throw that in our bowl. Once that's done, we're going to take our spoon, and we're going to mix the water and the baking soda together, like this. And then you're going to also use your hands to kind of mix it all in, get everything all nice and almost like moldable, like so. Get this water out of the way. We're just going to crumble that up like this. So we have that incorporated. Once you have that, we are going to put in a little bit of silver glitter. And a little bit of gold glitter. And we're going to mix it all together, like this. And I may actually just put in a little bit more gold, because I like the look of the gold glitter. And just mix that all together. There you go. Alright, now with that being done, if you want, And you may not want to do this because it does get a little bit on the messy side. We're going to add our black food coloring. Like I said, you don't have to do this, boys and girls. And then we're just going to mix that all together. So it's becoming like a greenish or grayish looking color. There we go. See that, boys and girls? Now it looks kind of like a moon sandish like consistency. So if you wanted to, parents, you can let your kids play around with it and feel like get a sensory issue with the texture before you start molding it. I should warn you, however, if you would use the black food coloring and you allow your children to play with it, it is going to be very messy. So before you start this program, make sure you have your workstation covered either with paper towels, newspaper, or plastic. So once you have your mixture ready, what you're going to do is you're going to scoop a little bit up in your hand, and we are going to start molding the meteors. And you just use your hands. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, and so forth. And as you can see, when you're touching this stuff, it gets very, very messy. But it does wash away, so don't worry about it. But I would keep the workstation covered. And there you go. That is how you make your very own meteorites. So I certainly hope you had fun doing this craft, boys and girls. I certainly enjoyed doing it with you. But stay tuned for our craft activity for our teens and tweens, which is meteor shower paintings. Stand by, stay tuned. Alright, boys and girls, the final art project / craft that I'm going to show you today for this program is how to do some type of abstract meteor shower painting. Now this program is geared more for kids who are going into 4th grade all the way up into 12th grade. So if you families, if you have children within that particular age group, this is the craft for them. Now before I begin, I'm just going to let you know that this painting is sort of a modified version of one done by Erin Harns, which have been posted on Pinterest. So if you're interested in this craft, as well as other similar activities, please click on the web link in the video description. But I'm going to go over step by step on how to complete this painting. And when you're done, you may have something that kind of looks like this. Isn't that neat? Cool, huh? Would you like a painting like this, boys and girls? Well, you just need some simple things. Now, when you register for this program, you have received a craft kit with the materials you need to complete this painting. And in the materials, you should have gotten a piece of white cardstock, some black tempera paint, some green tempera paint, some blue tempera paint, and some purple tempera paint. Now, and also a piece of a sponge. What you should have with you are the following. You will need a paintbrush, some water for cleaning, paper towel for drying, and this is completely optional, if you want, you can have either gold or silver tempera paint. It's not necessary, but it does give a cool effect. Oh, and you will also need a pencil. So I'm just going to grab one really quick. Alright, sorry about that. I just need to grab a pencil. So you're going to need a pencil. So with that being said, are we ready to begin? Alright, so the first thing you're going to do is you're going to lightly draw the pattern that you would like your meteor shower. So I just drew my pattern. So that's the first thing you would do. So I'll give you a few minutes to do that, boys and girls. Alright, once you had your kind of pattern out, you're going to choose one of three colors to start with for the inside. You're going to either choose purple, green, or blue. With my sample, I started out with purple. I think I'm going to change it up a bit, and this time I'm going to start with blue. So, moisten my paintbrush a little bit. I'm going to take my paintbrush, dip it in the blue paint, and I'm going to paint the inside of where I drew in my pencil, like so. And you just continue painting like so. Just going to give it a nice wash of color. See how nicely it's coming so far, boys and girls? And I made a bit of a mistake. I painted the wrong way. but that's not much of an issue. The good thing about paintings is that we can always work around our mistakes. So, it's just going to be a little bit of a reverse, but that's okay. But you're just going to keep painting. So here's a lesson. If you want to make sure you have the correct effect, start from the outside when painting the meteor trail pattern. But this actually, I think it will come out pretty good. Just going to change it up a bit. Actually not looking so bad. So here's a lesson, boys and girls. Even mistakes can look very nice. But just keep painting till you painted your trail. There we go. So, it didn't come out exactly as planned, but that is what that's the meteor trail. So I'm just going to clean my brush, and I'll give you a few minutes to catch up, boys and girls. So once you're done painting the base color for your meteor trail, the next thing we're going to do is going to paint the black sky part. So you're going to take your black tempera paint and you're going to use your paintbrush and fill the rest of the cardstock in with the black. Like so. And if some of the colors blend a little bit, that is completely okay. It actually gives a nice effect when it blends. And maybe you can mix like a blue or a purple in too, if you prefer. It actually gives a nice effect. But you're just going to paint the rest of your cardstock with the black space color. So you're doing a good job, boys and girls. Keep going. So, how's that? Doesn't that look neat, boys and girls? So just keep painting. Looks good, doesn't it? All right. Doing good, boys and girls. Keep going. All right. So, it's looking good, huh? Once you paint your whole piece of cardstock, you're going to wait about maybe 15-20 minutes for the paint to dry. Or you can just at least wait till your meteor trail dries. It may be dry by the time you finish with this. But once it dries, what you're going to do is you're going to put the blue, whatever you use for your base color as well as the black paint aside, and you're going to take out your other two colors. And what you're going to do is you're going to take your sponge, dip it into one of the paints. I'm going to start with green. And you're going to stamp all the way on the inside of your meteor trail. See how cool that is? There we go. So we stamped a little bit of that trail. Rinse this off. Then we're going to dip it in our other color. And just stamp a little bit as well. Maybe have them blend with the other color that you used. See that? Cool, huh? Looks neat, huh? Almost does look like meteors falling from the sky. Meteors falling. Isn't that great? And if you wanted to, you could wait for this to dry a little bit as well. And if you have gold or silver, use your sponge and stamp a little bit of gold or silver paint on it as well. It leaves a cool effect. But with that being said, families, I hope you enjoyed this meteor shower party today. I certainly enjoy doing this with you. I am looking forward to the meteor shower early tomorrow morning. I hope you are too. If by any chance you do see the meteor shower, please visit the library and let me know, or give a shout out on our email address. But until then, this is Miss Brianne saying take good care of yourselves, have a great day, and please check out the other programs that myself and the other children's librarians here to offer here at the Westhampton Free Library. Have a great night and take care.